Hello everyone and welcome back to the Pastel tutorial. Today we might be finishing our project. Last week we did the foliage down at the bottom, the grass stuff, and then we did the base layer, just the base layer. Cannot emphasize that enough because I know it looks horrendous, of just the colors on the silhouette itself. So I have my Carbothello pencils the same exact colors that I used last week, so I didn't add anything new here. Same stuff. Oh, I thought I forgot my black, but it's sitting over there. Anyways, so I'll run through the colors really quick and then we'll just get started fine-tuning the silhouette here. So I have black sitting over there. I have 305, 330, 215, 105, 385, and 365. So those are the 6 colors slash 7 if you include the black. I'll just grab the black. There. Now I have the black as well. So 7 colors. That's what I'm using. Hello, Catrice, Arnie, Carrie, Barbara, Sam, Gina, and Pazarita. Parasita. Michelle, good to see you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for me throughout the live stream, never hesitate to ask. I never get enough questions, so ask away. Anyways, let's see here. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to start with the 365, and I'm just going to continue covering the paper with this color. The silhouette has a little bit more purple in it than what I have here, so I'm going to use the purple to tone down some of the orange. Now, if you didn't know this, whenever you mix complementary colors together, you neutralize the colors and they become more brown. And I'm going to use that to tone down the orange and yellow in the highlight. And the one other tool that I have here is I have my trusty little messy pencil blender. So this is what I'm going to use to blend out the pencils just very delicately once I apply the layers. Hey, what's up, Electro? Good to see you. And Sneaks, always a pleasure. Val, okay. I'll try to remember that, Val. Try to remember you by your screen name. I have to admit, I remember quite a number of people from their screen names, so appreciate you letting me know what your name is. And I'll do my best to remember your name. Hello, Julem? Is it Julem? Hopefully you can correct me if you want, but not totally familiar with the pronunciation of your name. I still have a lot of paper to cover here, so that's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on, and just taking my time. This is a really long and tedious process, so the more time you spend on it, the better odds are you're going to like it in the end. It's just going to look better. And I highly recommend just taking your time. Oh, we met in Path of Diablo? Oh, Vow! Oh my goodness! Yes, of course. You said Vow, and I wasn't thinking Valady. Oh, of course, of course. What's up, man? It's good to see you. I'm glad you were able to come to the live stream and say hello. That's awesome. It took me like that took way too long to process. Yeah, that took way too long to process. Oh, hey, what's up, Sergio? And Gina? Gila as well. Good to see you as well. Cool, cool. Where do I live? I live in Poland. This morning you drew Bruce Lee and it went horribly wrong. Well, what about it went wrong? Sometimes when things go wrong, the important thing is to identify what it is that went wrong and then just correct that mistake. And portraits, if you draw portraits freehanded, they can be quite difficult in the beginning. Getting likeness and proportions and all of that stuff correct. Has anyone used pan pastel before? Yes, I have a set of pan pastels, but I never use them because personally I just prefer soft pastel sticks and pencils. Pan pastels are great though; they're high quality. The good thing about them is that they're just pure pigment, and so it's kind of like just applying makeup. So if you like to do makeup, then you'll probably like to use pan pastels. The thing with pan pastels is that you know you kind of have to use the right tools to apply them to the paper, but there's plenty of options for application, as Chrissy from Xrisart has demonstrated over the years. They call her, or in the Unmask family, we refer to her as the Queen of Pan Pastels. So check out Xrisart to learn more on pan pastels. I'll leave the pan pastels to her because I'm not a huge fan of them. I just prefer the mobility of the pastel sticks. The shading, yeah, shading can be quite difficult. If you drew did you draw him in graphite or were you using colored pencils? Would I endorse using soft tools for anything else besides pan pastels? Well, I use them for my soft pastels. Using them for graphite, absolutely. You can get powdered graphite. Yeah, applying powdered graphite. The really nice thing about those soft tools is that like the density of the sponge allows you to kind of spread things out without a lot of dust. So it collects a lot of the dust, which gives you like more spreadability. Because if you shade something or blend something with it and it kind of sticks to the sponge, you can take that sponge and take it somewhere else and still keep using it. So it's very versatile. It's very versatile, and I like the sponges. The soft tools are great. So colored pencils. So yeah, shading portraits with colored pencils is something a lot of people struggle with. I'm gonna switch colors. I'm gonna use the 385 and the 330 kind of in combination for the darker part of the dress here. But yeah, shading with colored pencils, a portrait, uh, yeah, takes a really good understanding of color and color matching as well. That's also a really important part of using colored pencils to do a portrait. And oftentimes, what I see and people trying colored pencil portraits, when it comes to the shadows, they tend to use black. And although black can sometimes occur in the shadows of skin, it's most often closer to like a deep reddish brown and then hints of purple. So purple is like the secret to portrait shadows on the skin. Purple's like the secret hidden color that happens. Mostly it's in between where the shadows transition to the midtones. You bring a little bit of purple in there and it just brings the skin to life. But for the most part, like shadows is where people struggle a lot. And I would say the biggest, one of the bigger causes of colored pencil portraits just kind of not working out for people is that for the midtones of the skin, people are afraid to apply the right color at the value that it actually shows up. So that's another thing that you have to look out for when you're doing colored pencil portraits. You have to identify that midtone color and you have to apply it completely. Like you can't be afraid of it because a lot of people go way too light with the colors on the skin, and then what ends up happening is the whole portrait just looks washed out. And you just have to have confidence in your colors. Are you late? Only by a couple minutes. Better late than never. I'm sorry, did I miss a question? So which tool did I use to blend the background? I used the soft tool to blend the background on this project. Yeah, the soft tool is just this here. How did I improve my color skills? That is a fantastic question. That's a great question. So I have this old tutorial on my YouTube channel that you can look up. And I made this tutorial quite some time ago, but it's still extremely relevant because when I was coming up with this tutorial, it was like right after I kind of had that aha eureka moment with coloring. And essentially what it comes down to is identifying your colors and then translating those colors to whatever medium you're working with. So if you're using a reference photo, you look at the reference photo and you analyze the colors. You identify the specific individual colors, and I would say if you are identifying more than 15 colors, you're going like a little bit too far there. What you want to do is kind of go back a little bit and stick around like 12 to 15 colors. Like that's going to be the color range for a majority of the work that you're going to be doing, and then just translate that to your medium. And what that tutorial is called is How to Color Everything: A Guide to Making an Effective Color Chart. So that's going to be one tutorial that I have, and then of course all of my live streams I help answer such questions. But another thing is beside me here, I turn my camera but I can't. On my wall I have just a ton of color charts. I have just so many color charts. And so whatever medium you're working with, I highly recommend you make color charts of your mediums, because being able to just quickly look at the color chart and do a quick comparison of the colors that you have available and the colors that you see in your reference photo is going to make your life 1,000 times easier as well. Oh, Electra, you started playing some chess too? Yeah, we can play together, absolutely. I was playing chess all morning, pretty much all the way up to the last minute that I had to live stream. Playing some bullet chess. If I happen to miss any of your guys' questions, feel free to ask them again. Sometimes they get lost in the chat, so yeah, don't feel like I'm ignoring you or anything. I'm happy to answer your questions. And if you tag me in the chat, you just put the at symbol and then type Unmask Art. It will highlight my name and it will know that you're addressing me specifically. That helps me determine where the questions are at. You heard that color theory is probably one of the longest studies in art class. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I can agree with that. I honestly, color theory is not even really something that I think is important to study. There are things that you learn along the way that directly correlate to color theory. Now, I have a decent understanding of color theory, but what I tend to just keep it simple. Honestly, I do. How do I organize my color charts? Like the color codes. The way I make my color charts is the factory order. So I just make them in factory order, and I just do it per brand, with the exception of actually with the colored pencils and with. If you're wondering why I keep pointing over here, all my color charts are to my right. So with the Prismacolor Luminance and Polychromos pencils, I have one master chart, and then same thing with the pastel pencils. So I have the Carbothellos, the Geneve, and the Faber-Castell Pitt pencils. So I also have a master chart of those pastel pencils as well. And for those master charts, I did it based on color family. So I went from like white down through yellow, red, purple, blue, green, browns, grays, and then to black. How is living in Poland? Living in Poland is fantastic. I love living in Poland. Yeah, I very much enjoy living in Poland. I would say the only drawback of me living in Poland is my family does not, and very often I miss them a lot. But aside from that, I really love living here. The other thing is I don't speak Polish, and that makes it really hard to just go out on my own and do whatever I want. So instead, I just don't. I stay home even when it's not mandatory. So the lockdown doesn't feel like anything to me other than the fact that I have to wear a mask when I go to the grocery store. Aside from that, my life is completely the same. Read some books about color theory. Yeah, I mean, if you understand color theory, it's not like that's going to make you a better artist. I would maybe compare that to the same thing as music theory. Very small comparison, so small analogy here. You can be a great musician and not have any understanding of music theory. And that's, I mean, a lot of the, really popular musicians from the past and even present day don't really have, the whole music theory thing down. And then at the same time, you have people that, are can recite all kinds of unique music theory stuff, and nobody listens to their music because it's just maybe it's too complex or just it's not artistic enough. So you can have a really great understanding of color theory as well, and just still be a horrible artist. You can know everything there is to know about colors and pigment and shadows and tertiary colors and primary colors and just whatever colors that you want. I'm trying to think of other color theory words, but they're escaping me right now. But at the end of the day, it's not going to make you a better artist. It might help you discover some things, but on a technical side of things, it's not going to help you. That's just a reality, because knowing color theory is not going to help you move your brush better. It's not going to help you move your pencil better. You're not going to get better layers with colored pencils because you know color theory. So there's a limitation to what that information is going to provide you with. If you email me, yes. If you email me, I do see emails. Yes, indeed. Actually, that's the least favorite thing that I have to deal with on a daily basis is answering emails. But I do see them. It's just as part of working for yourself and having your own business is, you know, you got to deal with the business side of the business, and it's the least enjoyable part. Yes, Unmask wearing a mask, indeed. um, would I recommend the master chart over individual ones? I suppose you still have to distinguish in between the individual brands and the specifics of the pencils. If you have multiple sets of the colored pencils, then I just recommend doing a master chart. I don't see any reason to have them separated. The way that like I sell a digital copy of my colored pencil and pastel master chart on my website. There's nothing special about it, but like I took time to order my master chart in a way that allows you to just look at one color of Prismacolor and to the right of it see if there's a polychromos color that's similar to it, and then to the right of that if there's a luminance color next to it. So that's how I spent a lot of time organizing my my master color charts. That way the colors are between the different sets, the colors remain in the same similar color family. With that said, there is of course colors in Prismacolor that don't exist in other ones, as you have like, you know, 150 colors in Prismacolors and only 74 in Luminance and only 120 in Polychromos. You made a new artwork that you want me to review? I should do another live stream where I critique your guys' artworks. I did that I think earlier this year or something. Give you guys some feedback on your work. I know you guys like that. I'm getting ever so close to 100,000 subscribers, and once I get there, I'm gonna do a special live stream where I just like a hangout Q&A live stream celebration, and I'll go through the whole story on how I became a YouTuber. So if anybody is interested in how to do it, I'll tell you exactly what I did, as you know, the mistakes that I made and maybe the successes that I've also been able to come by. How old am I, and when did I start going pro? So I've been a professional artist for 4 years. Yeah, been a professional artist for 4 years. and I am 31 years old. So that means I retire in 9 years. Yeah. I got less than 9 years to retire. It's gonna be a busy 9 years. And if you're wondering why 9 years, it's because ever since I was 16 years old, I always told myself that I wasn't gonna work past the age of 40. I'm gonna retire at the age of 40 and enjoy my life. Not that I don't enjoy my life, but enjoy life, just period. And if I can retire before 40, that's cool too. So nothing wrong with achieving your goals early. Have I completed your script or when writing? Wait, have you completed your script you were writing? Oh, no, 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 no. No, I didn't. You mean for the video of how I became a YouTuber? No, I don't think I'm gonna bother. I think for the Q&A live stream, I'll just go through the whole story and explain it in real time and not have to worry about writing a script. What are some of the surfaces you would not recommend working in pastels? Anything other than pastel matte. Yeah, any surface that is not pastel matte, or or the Lux Archival, or crap. Maybe there's more than pastel matte. So why do you have to ask the question like this? Why do you have to ask the question as a negative, Sergio? If you're working with pastels, only use pastel matte, or use sandpaper, or use archival, the Lux archival paper. Okay, so you have three options: sandpaper, pastel matte, Lux archival. Oh, thank you, Tamming. Yeah, I really like the way the dress like goes out like that, and her hair looks also really cool the way it comes out also. Once I get to the hair, I'm using the 305 orange to bring in some of the translucency of her dress now. Hey, what's up, CT? Yeah, I know Electro. I know. But yeah, the truth hurts. In the famous words of Ben Feingold, the truth hurts. Um, Pastel matte just really is the the best. And if there was a really strong alternative, I promise you I wouldn't hide it from you. But sandpaper works nicely. But when it comes to pastel pencils, you kind of have to go with the Lux Archival or the Pastel Matte. I have to remember the Lux Archival exists now. Most of you probably haven't even heard of it yet, but yeah, the Lux Archival paper by Brush and Pencil. That brand is fantastic as well, and works well with the pastel pencils. There is a small limitation. There is a tiny limitation with pastel pencils in particular. The thing about pastel matte is the way that it takes the pastel pencils is unlike any other surface, and you have this unique degree of control that you don't get in any other on any other surface, and that level of control I am addicted to. I I love it with the pastel matte. So yeah, it's really hard to fight against that. Oh, hey, what's up, Janice? I didn't see you come in. Getting this to look smooth is gonna take a few layers. Yeah, you're sneaky, Janice. You're sneaky. What is my favorite sport? My favorite sport. Huh. I My favorite sport. Gosh, I don't know if I've ever gotten that question before. As far as mainstream sports go, I'd have to go with soccer. Like that's mainstream, like the typical like football, baseball, what are basketball, and then soccer. I'd have to go with soccer, but if you want to broaden if you want to broaden the definition of sports outside of the mainstream stuff, then I might have to go with BMX, and possibly even like a little bit of the mountain biking, because BMX and mountain biking they've really come like really close together. The only difference is you don't really see mountain bikes on skate parks, but yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten that question before. Let's see, what else did I miss? Um, do I want more questions? Yeah, more questions. Do I use fixatives? No, I do not. I never use fixatives. It it not only affects the colors and the contrast of the image, but it also affects the texture. And for me, the soft, velvety texture of pastels is just way too delicious to mess up. Like I love it. I don't want anything on it. I don't want anything on it. What's the next question? You love working on Velar. I have not tried Velar on the with pastels. Never tried Velar. Do I know any sites which deliver in India? Not off the top of my head. I did share this Dutch website on the last live stream, but I don't know. I don't know if they deliver. Hold on a second. I need to sharpen this pencil. It's a little bit too dull for me. What is going on? Where's my microphone? Okay. Sorry. Um, oh, hey there, Shiny. Thank you for answering the question. No problem. Happy to. Will I be doing any portraits and pastels? Yes, the next project is going to be portraits and pastels. A portrait in pastel. Alright, I'm going to use a little bit of black to darken this. Darken the silhouette a little bit. Very, very light with the black. I think something got stuck in my pencil sharpener. It's not working right now. But I don't want to fiddle with it just yet. If I can get away with not sharpening any pencils, then for the rest of the live stream, then I won't have to fiddle with it. Given a choice, would I rather give up your pastel mat or your pastel pencils? Well, if I can't have pastel mat, there's no reason to have pastel pencils. So, if I would give up pastel mat because then I wouldn't waste my time with pastel pencils. So I just end up giving up both. Because giving up one or the other is the same as giving up both. But I would give up the pastel mat because there might eventually in the future exist a paper that can compete with pastel mat when it comes specifically to pastel pencils. Because the reality is there's several papers that soft pastels will work perfectly fine on, but nothing exists that works as well as pastel mat when it comes to pastel pencils. Pastels, yes. So pastel paintings need to be framed behind glass only. If you use any plastic, like plexiglass or whatever, don't put pastels behind plexiglass because the static electricity will pull the pastel color off of the paper. And when it's framed behind glass, you need to make sure that it's not touching the glass. Sorry if I missed anybody's question. I'm just using black here, by the way, to add some darkness to the shadow here. Very, very small amount of black. That's going to tone down the saturation of these colors. What's the pattern on my t-shirt? Just randomness. I've had this t-shirt for so long. This t-shirt was recently introduced to my bum attire. Because it used to be a t-shirt that I would wear out in public. But I got paint on it when I was fixing up my rental property back in July of last year. Or no, was it July? No, it was like October or something like that. Or November. I don't know what month it was. It was sometime last year, like November. Yeah, it was November. I was painting in the bathroom, and I got paint here and down here, and so now it's just a bum shirt. Let's see, did I miss? I'm trying to miss anybody's questions. It's hard sometimes. All right, now I'm going to use the 305 color. I'm using this color to actually blend the black. Which surface do I use? I only use Pastel Matte, and I don't use fixative because it messes up everything about pastels. The easiest way to make pastels not look good is to use fixative. Do I always use reference photos? Yes, I always use reference photos. Because some things are just better not left up to just the imagination. Now, if I'm creating like something original, like even if I'm creating something original, I still use reference photos to kind of like pull ideas from or something like that. I mean, the idea of not using reference photos is it's not really there's no reason not to use reference photos. Like you're not a better artist because you don't use reference photos. Now for these projects, so for those of you that might be relatively new to my channel and relatively new to my tutorials, these tutorials that I've been doing the past few weeks are usually private on Patreon. And I usually just do the live streams on Patreon. But because of the circumstances, I decided to do all of my private live streams publicly so that you guys have something to watch while the whole world is still, unfortunately, in relative lockdown. Most places, a majority of places I would say, are still in lockdown. Poland being one of them. And so that's why I'm publicly streaming all of my tutorials. And I use reference photos exclusively for these tutorials because people are learning from them and I want them to have the reference photo so that they can follow along with the project. So in this regard, it wouldn't make any sense not to use reference photos. And then I also supply patrons with the line art as well. So they don't have to create their own line art. They can just simply get the lines down on their paper and then start coloring along with me. And that's how I do it. Do I use any sites which deliver to India? I don't, the sites that I use, I don't know if they do or do not deliver to India specifically. I don't usually use websites only if they also deliver to India. So if I lived, I wish that I lived in India so that I could gather that necessary information. If anybody in the chat other than Electro lives in India, hook them up with a website that delivers there. I'm glad. Yeah, I think that it's starting to look a lot better now. Once you get, some things a bit softer, you get it covered better. Yeah, it definitely starts to look better for sure. There's still a lot of work to do on this though. All the fine tuning is still left. I have to tell you how much that means to a lot of us. It really helps make the entire mess more bearable. Oh, well, you're welcome, Sneaks. And to everyone else, you're also welcome. I'm glad that my live streams can give you, you know, a little bit of an outlet from the current situation. I was hoping that I could provide such a thing. I think it would be just a tad bit egotistic for me to assume that it would provide such a thing. So I'm glad that it does for some of you. Oh, thank you, Teresa. I'm glad to hear that you've learned a lot. My philosophy is that anything that I know, I am willing to share, and I don't hold any information back. I think that that the information is free to all. Oh, I love that orange. Hopefully that orange shows up as nice on camera as it does in person. That orange just adds like so much nice warmth. So much warmth to the silhouette. I really like it. You're thinking of starting your own art channel. Hope to hear about your story to start with. Oh yeah. Well, I think I'm somewhere around 95,000. So, probably not by the end of the month, but probably by the end of next month, I'll hit 100,000. It just depends on whether or not you guys want to help me get there quicker by like sharing my videos and making your family members open a YouTube account and subscribe to my channel. Yeah, you can always do that to get me there quicker. But I usually get about 3,000 a month or so, and since we're 2/3 of the way here, yeah. Oh, I'm at 96.2. Okay, that's 1,000 more than I thought. So I'd say maybe another 20 days. Maybe another 20 days, I'll be at 100,000. All right, let's go with some blue here. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I can get away with not sharpening this pencil. So hold on one moment. Like I said, I got something stuck in my sharpener. So I need to turn it upside down and hope that the thing falls out. I think there's something still stuck in there. Honestly, I can't tell at this point if it's working or not. I'm gonna just give it a try. Let's see if I can sharpen a pencil now. Oh yeah, look at that. There's almost nothing more satisfying than a pastel pencil that is this sharp. Tea sounds nice. How do I feel about how do I feel when you glance at the artwork inspired by your work and other tutorials? Um, I feel pride. I think that's about it. Um, that's I like I love seeing people do my tutorials and learning from them. That's a really great feeling. I really like the courses that I sell on my website when I get tagged on Instagram or whatnot of somebody that completed project 1 or project 2, and they usually will say something like, "This is the first time that I've ever you know done a pastel painting and it just looks phenomenal," and they just do a good job because um, I I don't think I brag. At least I try not to. And I don't pretend to be the greatest artist in the world. Um, and with that said, there is one sort of exception, and that is I think I'm a fantastic teacher. I think I'm a far better teacher than I am an artist because I love creating. I love colored pencils and pastels and drawing and all of that stuff. But my true passion lies in teaching. I love teaching. And if I were to, I think that I'm one of the best teachers, period. Just, I think I'm one of the best. I'm, yeah. And so when I see people doing the projects that I do tutorials on and then sharing their work and saying something like, "This is the first time I ever did this," and it looks amazing. Like, you could, I don't know if you'd be able to like search it or whatever, but a lot of people have done my colored pencil portrait course, right? I've seen a lot of people doing my portrait course. I've sold hundreds of that course. And so I've seen people people post pictures of their portrait. It looks just like mine, right? And it's the first time they've ever done it. Like, if I could draw a portrait that good, if I could go back and do, well, I guess technically my first colored pencil portrait was that good, or somewhere close. But yeah, like, with limited experience and limited knowledge of the subject, um, I know that I'm doing something right when people can get results like that on the first go. And I just think that I'm one of the best teachers. It's not about being the best artist. I love teaching. Um, I've said it many times over the years, but my favorite thing is to give people that aha moment where something clicks, it turns on, and they're just like, "Oh my goodness!" They just come to that epiphany moment or realization of something. That is my favorite feeling in the world. I love that feeling more than anything. I love that feeling. That's my favorite feeling in the world. And the ability to give other people that feeling, that's the best. That's the best for me. That's that's my favorite thing to share. And so that's why I'm so passionate about teaching. I love teaching. I've had some really great teachers growing up, far few than I wish I had more great teachers, but they made such an impact on my life. Like, a good teacher can change your life, and good teachers have changed my life. And so that's what just makes me passionate about teaching, and I love teaching. I mean, if I wasn't doing art, most of you know this, that I went to college to, I got my degree in math. Like I have my degree in math, and my plan was to be a math teacher because I like math. Math is awesome, and I love teaching. But most of all, I love teaching. And so whether I'm teaching math or teaching art, it doesn't make a difference to me. I get to give people that aha moment regardless of what it is that I'm teaching. So it's just, it was always about teaching. And that's what I focus on. The reality is I'm not trying to impress anybody with my artwork. And I don't find it to be that impressive in comparison to the multitude of artists that exist. I would say I would just describe it as moderately above average, but I think that I teach it better than better artists. How would I feel if somebody recreates your tutorial artwork and sells it? I've had that question before, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't care one bit. If you follow my tutorial and you create something that somebody finds value in and wants to buy it from you, then that's fantastic. Then you probably followed the tutorial really well and did a good job on it, and you deserve all the credit. I don't own the rights to your work that you put the time into. I only own the rights to the work that I put my time into. You once saw some of your earlier work tattooed on somebody? That's funny. I saw one of my artworks on a T-shirt that of a band. Now it was a modified version of it. It was like a picture-in-picture or like an overlay or something. But a band that I went to go see live, they had a T-shirt with one of my drawings on it, and they didn't know me at all, and they weren't even responsible for the T-shirt. And the funny thing is, like, I like the band. I went to go see them specifically live. So that was kind of an interesting surprise. And they're from Europe. They're UK. Europe is way too broad. Oh, thank you, Tito. If someone purchased my artwork, and definitely I will not copy yours, the first thing I will do is join on Patreon. Well, thank you, Electro. I hope to see you on Patreon real soon. But don't feel obligated to support me on Patreon. Truly, I mean, it's important that I make enough money to continue doing this, but I don't do it for the money. The money is simply just a benefit of doing it. So don't feel obligated to financially support. You can always support me simply by, joining in the live streams, then spending time with me and conversating and just being family. Sharing my videos with your friends and stuff like that. Because, I mean, even if you're not actively supporting me on Patreon or even buying my courses off my website, if you're sharing my work with people or talking about my channel, that helps draw in people that are able to, spend money. And so I don't want to guilt anybody into doing that, or make anybody feel like it's totally necessary. I don't give any preferential treatment to the people that bought my courses. like I said, the information that I share is available to everybody. You just got to ask the questions. We have 2 holdouts on pushing the like button to have 100% of the people currently in the room liking it. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, that's another thing that I don't ever do. You guys usually remind me of, or remind the chat to give the live stream a thumbs up. Yeah, I'm horrible at that part of my job. Is like doing the, don't forget to share and subscribe and all of that stuff. I almost I only recently started putting that in my videos, and I don't honestly like doing it. I'd prefer to just not say things like that at all. My sister Cece, many of you know my sister Cece. We were chatting this past Sunday on and she was asking me, like, because she started a YouTube channel, and she was just kind of asking me how to, you know, turn it into a living, essentially. And I was just giving her my input and stuff like that. And we were talking about, she had mentioned she's not really keen on the idea of you know, fighting for popularity. And I'm like, I'm right there with you. I don't want to be one of those people that are out there campaigning for popularity, because essentially that's what YouTube is. It's just a big old popularity contest, and I've never staked my claim, and I don't intend to anytime soon on trying to be popular. It's not what I have no care for that whatsoever. I do perfectly fine without changing who I am as a person. So, yeah, she was just mentioning she wasn't real sure if she wanted level of that level of popularity. Oh, hey there, Chandri. I didn't even see you come in. Chandri and Janice, the ninjas of the live stream today, sneaking in without me even noticing. Yeah, Chandri. Cece mentioned you actually. Mentioned your guys' video chat. She was like kayaking or something when you guys were chatting or whatnot. Yeah, it's really cool that a number of you have gotten to know my sister as well. It's kind of cool. It makes you feel even more like family. I have overdone it with the 2B graphite. Can't erase it. How can I tone it down? Yeah, sometimes you got to be careful with that with the pencils. The best way is to use a kneaded eraser. Kneaded erasers have a tendency to just be a little bit better at erasing, because essentially when you use a pencil, what it's doing is it's grinding off the paper. All paper has a surface, and that surface isn't perfectly flat, because if it was perfectly flat, it would not take the pencil, and so little bits of the graphite fall into the cracks of the paper, and so the kneaded eraser is able to kind of get down into those cracks a little bit better than like a regular rubber eraser. So you might just want to try a kneaded eraser, and what I like to do is take like a little ball of it and just roll it on the paper, and that's how I like to use them. Okie dokie, let's add a little bit of this 215 orange. Yeah, I can. I'll ask him. Um, Actually, you might be able to just message him on Instagram. Yeah, you should just go over to his Instagram and ask him where he gets his pastel mat. Why do you always type ED at the end of Unmask art? Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of people do that. Um, so your question, Janice. I am not aware of any other model of the Jakar electric sharpener. I never looked to see if Jakar has their own website and they sell them directly. I only I only know them from Jackson's Art Supply, and they don't sell any other model, and I haven't come across any other model or indication that there is a different model anywhere else. Oh, thank you, Electro. Yeah, it's starting to come together quite nicely. Essentially, what essentially what you need to do at this stage. So anything beyond that base layer, all I've really been doing is adjusting the transitions between all the colors. So I don't want there to be like these harsh, really clear, identifiable lines between like the purple and the orange. I want all the colors to just kind of blend together seamlessly and remove remove all of that texture. Remove all of the texture that was the base layer. And slowly but surely everything's just becoming softer and softer. And once I get it as soft as it needs to be, then I can kind of adjust and maybe bring in some of the last little details and whatnot. Yes, the student is Mayank. Indeed, Shiny, you are correct. Is there someone in my house? There is background noise. Yes, there is indeed. My wife is talking on the phone, which means my wife is yelling on the phone. I don't know what it is, but every time my wife talks on the phone, it is much closer to yelling than it is talking. I've addressed this with my wife before. I've asked her, why does she talk so incredibly loud on the phone? Because otherwise my wife is very soft spoken, except when she talks on the phone. And I would say most of the time it's only when she talks on the phone with her mom. They're just like so loud when they talk. Well, when my wife talks anyway. All right, what else here? A lot of people yell on the phone. Yeah, it's just I don't like phones like at all. I don't like phones. My phone has been dead for like 3 weeks. When my wife, she's only like somewhat back to going to the office for work, and she texted me on her way home the other day saying she was going to be late because of the bus or whatever, and of course I didn't get the text message because my phone has been dead for like weeks and weeks. Well, it would be impossible to draw my wife and then also give it to her as a surprise because my wife sees everything that I draw, and it would be impossible to hide that. She sleeps in the same room that I work in, so just flat out not possible. To surprise her, not to draw her. I may decide to do that. But as a tutorial, it feels weird to do that as a tutorial because then everybody be drawing my wife. And I don't know. For some reason that makes me feel weird. Alright. I need to sharpen this pencil, so give me 1 second. Sorry, I know that was longer than a second. Alright, let's see here. What was I going to use this color for? I don't even remember what I was going to use this color for. Oh, hairs. Yeah, I need to give her some flyaway hairs. And I'm going to use some of this 330 color. By the way, that was the 305 orange that I used for the flyaways. And I'm going to use some of this 330 color also. There, I think that looks pretty good. Do I have to constantly order new pastel pencils? No, I do not. They last quite a long time, actually. The Gosh, I'm trying to think of the last time I ordered art supplies, just period. I have not ordered anything this year. I've not bought any new art supplies this year, and I think the last time was probably August or September of last year. I've almost went 12 months without buying any art supplies. I'd have to check my Jackson's account to say for sure when the last time was, but it's been close to a year at least, or it's coming up on a year real quick. I'm actually almost done with this. Yeah, I'm almost done with this project. I thought maybe I'd finish it today, but I wasn't 100% sure. So that means next week we will start a new pastel project, and I do want it to be a portrait. It will be a portrait using pastel pencils. So that's the plan. I use pastel matte. What do I think about the Kohinoor pastel pencils? I've never used them, so I can't say anything about them. What I can say is of anything. I've never heard anything about them either, and sometimes not hearing anything about them is also an indication of their general worth. Um, usually things, especially art supplies, usually the popular ones are popular because they're good. And in general, I use Carbothellos. I have I have four full sets. I have about $700 $800 worth of pastel pencils, and I use the full set of Carbothellos, and that's it. I have I have like the $350 set of the Geneve by Karen Dash in a really nice wooden box. I've used them once, and I've never used them on a project. I've never used them on an actual painting before. Only on the review. Same thing with the Derwent, although I don't want to use the Derwent anyway. Those are impossible to sharpen, and the quality is not that great anyway. But the Faber-Castell, I like the Faber-Castell, and I have used those a little bit, tiny, tiny bit. I would just go with the Carbothellos. They have great color selection. They have fantastic price. They're the cheapest of the bunch. Good color selection, good saturation levels, nice and vibrant. A lot of people struggle to sharpen them, so I will warn you, they are a little painful to sharpen. If you don't want to spend money on a good pencil sharpener to get them nice and sharp, like I get them, then go with the Faber-Castell. Faber-Castell are quite a bit easier to sharpen, actually. All right, let's just smooth out her hair a little bit. Bit too much pencil grain in the hair there. What else? What else? What else? Do I have white? No, I don't have white. I just have this color. I'm gonna. I could probably just use it like this. I'm just gonna add a little bit of highlight around the edge a bit more. Maybe starting right here. And just a nice bold highlight to really bring her out from the foreground. There. Now she's just a bit more from the background. So that let's see, maybe I can smooth out her hair up here just a little bit more. It's just a tiny bit rough. I don't like it. There. Yeah, I think I'm going to call this done. Yeah, I think I'm going to call this done. So now I'm going to put my pencils aside. I'm going to zoom out so you guys can see the whole thing. And then everyone's favorite part, I'm going to untape it. All right, so there's the full picture. Just make sure my hands are somewhat clean. And let's just go ahead and untape this. Because no pastel painting ever looks fully complete until you untape it. Once you untape it, then it turns into a whole different thing. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, and last but not least, alrighty everyone, there it is. There's the finished product. Like I said, no pastel painting ever looks fully complete until you untape it, until you unmask it. Yes, unmask it. I love that sound too. Yeah, taking off tape is one of my favorite things. I mean, I go by unmask for a reason. All right, so that is going to be it for today's live stream. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the project, and I'll start a new one next week. So whole another fun thing to start next week, and like I said, it's going to be a portrait. I might do like something more complex than just the portrait. So like portrait with a background. But anyways, yeah, that is going to be it. Colored pencil tutorial this Thursday. So be on the lookout for that if you're new to the channel. And then just one more reminder. I think this might be the last time I remind people. I also live stream on Twitch. Okay, but I don't do art stuff. I only play chess. But if you enjoy hanging out with me and you want to chit chat and just hang out, maybe play a game of chess together. I'm always on Twitch, so I stream on Twitch just about every day of the week at random times. But if you follow me on Twitch, you'll get a notification of when I go live. But aside from that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you on Thursday. So take care. Peace.